are some 4-ace packet switches. What are they dated from?
Well, they go quite a while back, maybe about 2 or 3 years ago.
2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Were some of them given to Al Sharp for the book?
Yeah.
Okay. Right, go ahead.
So now, one of the switches is basically like from Greater Magic, you know, or from Nugget's card manipulation books. When you pick up, when you get 4 aces in the face of the deck, you actually pick up 8 cards, turn the deck over, and now you thumb off with the cards facing you, or the facing just the 4 aces. So you got to break on the 4 face-up cards on top of the deck, which is towards your body, and 4 aces in your hand, which is show sync. You know, very obviously see, you can snap them and everything. Now the timing has got to be right, because you come over, the Ace of Spades hits the block of 4 immediately. The right finger's into the break, and you turn the whole thing over and thumb off 4 cards, and the switch is made. It's the handling of the. Now this is another exchange of 4 for 4, but the previous one is good. But you have to mention the source that the methods of variations appeared in Hugo's Magic, Greater Magic. Elmsley, there was a variation by Zarrow, but the handling of mine is the fact that you can actually show 4 single aces in the right hand just before you time it for the turnover, which makes the difference.
Where was the Elmsley variation?
In the 102nd aces in either of them.
Okay.
Yeah. Now this you.
Wow, there you go. There's a little taste of a session with Ed Marlo and John Rockerbaumer, which I would place in the early 70s. This was after the Alton Sharp book, which was Expert Card Conjuring, which was 1968, and before the Casual Card Ad was published in 1975. So we're looking maybe 71, 72, somewhere in there. Today we're using a golden Nugget deck from the Marlo card collection, I guess we'll call it. And these are pretty rough, but these are from the casino. We got the ink on the sides, and they don't spread very well anymore. But as Marlo points out in some places in print, the quality of the cards vary, and the applications of those kinds of cards vary as well. So you can use a deck that's clingy in a way, like for example in Ibidem, he had a way of doing a double from a spread using a pack of clingy cards, so he could easily take out a double, for example. And that's just one possible application of that. But I wanted to share these, just the novelty of using the Golden Nugget deck. And again, these are from the Marlo card collection that I have in my possession. Now, the Casual Card Ad was published here in 1975. This is the resurrection issue of the Hierophant, which was number 7. And it's interesting, you have the compilation of these magazines, but it's really cool to have the original or a facsimile of the original reprint. So you get a feel for the style and the printing of that time. So, but anyway, so let's do the Casual Card Ad here so you can see. It's interesting when you listen to that clip. You hear Marlo make it a point for John to put the proper credits in, or at least the previous sources of similar techniques. Now, he mentions Greater Magic, he mentions Hugard card manipulations, he mentions Elmsley with regard to the 102nd aces, and what's interesting, he also mentions Zarrow with regard to that kind of switch out. And I'm curious if he was referring to the zero, what we know as the zero block edition, where you would take a block of cards off and flip them over. I don't think Marlo was claiming this kind of approach, but the technique that he was claiming is the ability to show cleanly those four aces as you come down and add. So you can cleanly show these like this, four aces, and as the hands come down, the cards are added and the switch is accomplished. Now you can actually watch Marlo do this technique on the video, or now the DVD, Primetime Marlo, and you get to see how he handles the timing of that come down. So without going into too much detail, it's a very nice fluid action for the switch. And so that is the casual card ad. And so now we're going to look at another technique, but before that we're going to listen to John and Marlo discuss a wonderful trick that Marlo was fond of called the Ace of Spades.
In essence, the spectator names a number. You count off that number, reversing the cards one onto the other the normal way. Then you push off the card at that number and take it apparently to the bottom of the packet, and then turn the packet face up.
All right, now you got to make a mention of
But actually what happens...
right and left-hand packets, otherwise it won't make sense.
In other words, you have the deck in your right hand, the top card is, say, the four hearts.
All right.
Fellow names the number. Name a number.
8.
So you count off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, reversing the cards one after the other into the right hand. Push over the 8th card and come with the cards from the right hand onto that 8th card. That's as if you're going to take it, but you pull it back out to the deck at the same time, turn the hand over. So it looks like you took the 8th card to under the packet and reveal the 4 of hearts. Actually, using this method, you have only 7 cards there, all right? Now, the second method is to take the cards by the corner, the upper right corner, and reversing the cards one after the other. Again, say again 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then you have the 7 cards at the fingertips of the right hand, the upper right, held by the upper right corner, and the 8th card is pushed off the deck by the left thumb, off to the side. Now you apparently reach over and take it underneath there, but you pull it back and turn the wrist as you turn over the packet to reveal the 4 of hearts, or apparently the 8th card, but really there's 7 now. Now the best version that I like is, say the top card is a king of spades, this is, we'll do it as a stop trick. You take the cards one after the other, quickly reversing the cards, as you say, just tell me when to stop. Now when he says stop, you see right here, you push off the cards, the top card of the deck in the left hand. And now you apparently take it underneath the packet in the right hand, but what you do is you buckle the bottom card, which is the king of spades. You buckle the bottom card so the card off the deck feeds in second from the bottom. Then you use the side of the deck to sort of tap the card like into the bottom and turn the hand over and reveal the king of spades at the bottom. Now, to all appearances, it should look like you counted the cards off and took the card of that number and turned the packet face up.
There's 3 methods.
Yeah.
Any date?
Oh, gee, this is, I don't know, it's been before Al Sharp wrote that first book. That's, that before he wrote Expert Card Conjuring. So that goes quite a while back.
So another interesting segment, and wonder, I wish I could go back in time and just be a fly on the wall at one of these sessions. The technique that he's discussing is one that was published in volume 5 of the Marlo magazines. Marlo gave John a lot of material that, for one reason or another, didn't necessarily get into print via John. So some of the stuff was later published in other sources. I'm going to show you the two handlings that Marlo discussed, he actually discusses three. One isn't clear as to where the cards are taken. He makes the point in the second handling of holding the card near the top right corner, the upper right corner. So I wonder where the first one, maybe at the center or even at the bottom. So I'm not quite sure where you would be holding the cards. I think both of those grips would be effective. But Marlo emphasized the second method as being held at the top. Now, the way he does it is he would hold the deck and position his body so the right side is towards the audience. And what he would do was he would take the cards thusly, and when the spectator called stop, he would then show the card. Now, this is the basic handling here. You say you ever see the Ace of Spades trick, or it could be a selection for a stop trick, and they would call out stop, and then you apparently take the card using a technique that he had in the Cardition for the false count in the Cardition, except in this case he's taking the cards and pinching them and peeling them on top, and then apparently taking it to show it. Now, I will pause here before I go into the next technique because I wanted to share another handling of this that I just showed you that was in Volume 5, slightly different finessed handling. So this time the cards would be shuffled, and you would say, now look, we're not going to use the bottom card, the 10 of Spades, and we're not going to use the top card, the 7 of Hearts. In fact, I'm going to take cards one at a time, and I want you to call out stop. So now the spectator at any point can say stop, and the card is taken, and he gets the Ace of Spades. So that's just a slight handling change. But look how he adds this one little bit to it. By adding the one card to the top, he's able to show this card cleanly, no double, and the bottom card, and I'm going to show this. Now, instead of having to do a double push-off to get that ace on the bottom, he does a little subtlety here. He says, so he takes this one off singly and says, I'm going to take cards one at a time. I want you to call out stop. So he took that ace underneath the packet, and now he's able to deal cards one at a time on the top, and now in the act of taking it, he gets the ace. Now what's nice about this is you can deal this card off, and you still have that one that you called at the beginning. So it really gives a nice convincing show that that card was added to the face of the packet, especially or obvious or specifically if they forget that you took the card underneath. So in other words, they have to forget that part. So you do this, you say here, and you say, I'm going to take cards off one at a time. That's what the pause is for. So they forget that you took it underneath as you continue to do, and this is the main action. And now this next card is apparently taken onto the face, and you get the Ace of Spades. Now it's interesting, he says you can use this as a mental spell. And here's a nice little presentational ploy that he used, which really points up the fact that he was a performance-minded creator. A lot of people don't associate Marlo with practical, performable effects, but when you really study his work and not just breeze through it or take other people's word for it, when you actually study the work, then you get a real good sense that he had a sense of performance when he created these things. And this is a good example. The Ace of Spades trick began with his Svengali deck pitch that he did at the treasure chest, and also when he was at the lounges in Chicago where he actually performed for the public, he didn't want to have cards selected every 5 minutes. So he would say, have you ever seen the 10 of spades trick or the ace of spades trick, say? And so that's where that all stemmed from. The ace of spades trick stemmed from actual performance and a presentation. So getting back to the mental spell, he says, use a control where you can't possibly know the name of the card, or you cannot possibly see the card. And he says the best way to go is to not even look at the deck, and you point that up. You say put the card back, and whatever the control is, make sure that you can do it without looking, but you point that up. So now there's no way you could have known the card. So when it, in other words, that's the mental spell would be stronger that way. And so here's another example of him taking the performance of the trick into account and not just the methodology. We netted that out. So, what am I going to, so that's it.
Yeah. Give it a sign off.
So now, to end this, and I appreciate you guys watching and listening, I'd like to share Carmen D'Amico's favorite procedure for the Ace of Spades trick and Marlo's finessed handling. And I'll let Marlo do that for you in exacting detail. So, thanks again. See you later.
Now, Carmen's method is, he likes is the one at the fingertips like this. He holds it at the right corner of the fingertips like this, and then just does that. In other words, he does 1, 2, 3, 4, and he comes in and does this. See? In other words, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then just 5 like that. See? Now, I like it this way, and then coming over and finally doing this. So you can take your choice. You can go 1, 2, 3, 4, you said 5, you come over and do this. See? But the best one I like is when you just reverse it and say stop right there, you come back, you say, oh, and you do this. That's good. But this method has good possibilities in what you do.
It looks natural enough, that's what's
Like this
nice.
and then this.